What is up, super fam and bro vengers alike? I am Sensei Finito, aka Vane Sensei, and welcome to Marvel Bros, where we discuss all things Marvel and everything pop culture. And today, we are starting our Reading Wednesday, aka book club for none other. For none other than Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. We're starting with book 1, The Final Empire. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. It's going to be a good one. Our last book club series was called From Watcher to Reader. I'm going to kind of switch all of it around, and it's all going to be Reading Wednesday now. We're probably still going to have our From Watcher to Reader series, actually, just so I can preface that, because that's a whole thing in itself. But anytime we just do regular book club and we're just reading and doing this stuff every Wednesday, it's going to be Reading Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know how you guys are feeling about Reading a Wednesday. Let me see if I can did I download the logo that I made? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think I downloaded the logo. I was about to pop it up on screen. Let me see if I can download that real quick. But yeah, man, Reading Wednesday is gonna be the new vibe. It's paying a little bit of homage. I think Marisu already said it to Reading Rainbow. It's Reading Rainbow, but man, we already got damn near hit with a copyright strike just for having the name Marvel Bros. So I don't want to because if I would have went Reading Rainbow, I'm going full blown with it. I'm gonna put the song in there. I almost had the song to start the shit today. Butterflies in the sky. Like I almost had the song playing for us today to start the stream off for real. But you know what I mean? Today we're gonna be, like I said, we're checking out we're not really checking out anything other than the prologue. If you guys are new here for book club, the way that we do things around here for book club is we'll have everything kind of split up basically into basically sections that we'll read each week together, and then every Wednesday we'll come back together yet again and we'll talk about it and discuss what we read in the book, nerd out, and basically do that week after week until we finish the book. So far, it's taken about 10 episodes per book that we've done. We've done 2 other books in this style for From Watchers to Readers, and that was The Wheel of Time Book 1 and The Wheel of Time Book 2. I know there's a lot of book readers out there, and a lot of people are just now finding Brandon Sanderson as well with all the new books that he has. And I do want to jump into some of those new books as well, but I thought it would be a good place for all of us to kind of start off with Mistborn and just kind of be just get into the Brandon Sando vibe, and just kind of get ready for all of the crazy, fantastical goodness that'll be happening. So I don't know what else we can read in the future, but there's a lot of stuff that we can read. The possibilities are endless. From Watcher to Reader will be its own thing. From Watcher to Reader will be the Wheel of Time one, but we'll also do From Watcher to Reader, and I'm probably going to do Game of Thrones for that. That'll probably be the next book that we cover in From Watcher to Reader. We'll start with the Song of Ice and Fire and kind of go through all of that stuff. Book 1, book 2, and all the other books that there are in that series, and that'll be our From Watcher to Readers, or From Goddard to Reader, or something like that. Who knows? And that'll be the next thing that we do after this book club, probably, because I want to keep rotating these different books in. It's all going to be book club, but they'll just have different titles for whatever book it is that we're reading, of course. Reading Wednesday. I was also going to call it Reading Mistborn, but I just kind of like Reading Wednesday because it's Wednesday, and then we can, have it for every day. Every other book that we do. But yeah, so I don't know anything about Brandon Sanderson's books, I should say. I have never read a Brandon Sanderson book ever in my life, but I have watched all of the lectures that he has ever done and put out on YouTube for, just for research purposes within my own writing that I do and my own stories that I've been working on and creating and whatnot. So by doing that and all of that good stuff, I do know a lot about the person Brandon Sanderson, not necessarily his writing though. So let me get a 1 in the chat if you guys have ever read some Brandon Sanderson stuff. Let's get a 2 in the chat if you haven't. If you've read this book, let me know as well. So yeah, man, I'm hyped to see it. So we're gonna we're going to do this like we do everything else. Of course, that starts with chat talk, where we talk to chat, see how you guys are doing, see what's going on. And then we get into the prologue. We'll get into the prologue of the story. And then we'll talk about the prologue as well. Talk about what's next. Mari Sue, I don't know if you have the chapters all ready to go for this or not. I hope you got at least a little bit something ready. Because I don't. At least a little bit something ready for these first couple of weeks. If not, we got the Discord now, so you can definitely message me and let me know or whatever. Let's jump into chat and see what's happening while I get a few other things going over here. Mari Sue here. Just need 2 minutes to finish dinner. Hey, what are you eating tonight? What you eating for dinner tonight? What's everybody having for dinner tonight? Let me know. I don't know what I'm eating for dinner. We did have pizza for lunch though, and that was awesome. The kids was happy. I was happy. We was all happy. It was amazing. Let's see. Blow. Reading Wednesday, baby. And then blow. Reading Mistborn, baby. Hey. That would have been a dope thumbnail, actually. This will be an interesting experiment. May the algorithm gods bless this stream. Hey, for real, what's up with it, Mari Sue? I agree with you 1,000% on that one. Let them bless the stream, man, because you know it needed. I don't know how this is gonna do, honestly. I really have no idea. I like the rebrand to Reading Wednesday. Reminds me of Reading Rainbow. Yeah, that's the vibe. You know what I mean? That's the vibe. Hi. What's up with this, Charisse? How you doing, girl? Oh.
Hello there.
Hope you're having a fantastic day. Wordy Wednesday. She's like, I'm still pushing the issue on Wordy Wednesday. Welcome to the Nerdy Wordy Charisse. Welcome to the Nerdy Wordy. Welcome to the Wordy Nerdy. Wordy Nerdy is fire. Wordy Nerdy is actually fire. Like, that could be a podcast. LOL, I believe that's already taken. Oh no. I'd watch a Mistborn series if I had one. Yo, dead ass. I'd watch anything Brandon Sanderson, to be honest. I feel like he would make some of the best anime style stuff ever. Like, his live action stuff would probably be awesome, but anime would be amazing, bruv. Like, I'm thinking Arcane, you know what I mean? But even better than that. Homemade curry udon. Ooh, I don't think I've ever had any of that. Homemade or elsewhere made. That sounds delicious, though. Sounds really good. It's been 10 years since I read this book. I hope this ain't all on me. Well, kinda. It is a little bit. Just a little bit. I mean, you're Mari Sue. You know what I mean? You know? You're Mari Sue. So, a little bit. I can look it up. I can Google it, though. It's all good. I know some other... in my research, I've seen a lot of other... of these type of series, but they're just kind of videos and not necessarily lives, I don't think. Some of them were lives, but you know, we'll see what's going on. We'll see what's going up, down, left, and right. See if I can get on the right side of the tube. Yeah, I agree 100%. Book to anime adaptations definitely needs to be explored, because it's like, I think that would be the best place you could do it. You know, manga gets adapted to, books all the time. You know, all the time. So, it'd be like that. Don't worry, Mari Sue. I reread the prologue and chapter 1 just before this stream. Hey, we're only going to be checking out the prologue today. And then after today, we'll be getting into the rest of we'll get into the chapter by chapter stuff, of course, as we go on. Really, all we need is just... I just need to know what chapters to read. I mean, that's really it. Like, because Mari Sue, it's kind of on you because you've now twice done a impeccable job of getting the read order for books. You know what I mean? Like, you've done an impeccable job 2 times at getting the read order for these chapters in two books. Of course, they were Wheel of Time, and I know you're a Wheel of Time junkie. So I know it's a little bit different, but still, you did a solid job with that. I think you could do a good job with this too, for real, for real. I'll do my best. For sure. Sounds good. See, look. I knew you knew. See, look, Marcy. I don't even know we was having a conversation about it for. You're like, oh my God, I hope it's not all on me. Fortunately, though, Brandon Sanderson does the same thing as Robert Jordan, so it's very similar. I'll have the stuff ready before the stream's over. No, I'm just playing. I'm just giving you a hard time. But yeah, for real, like I'm excited. I'm excited, yo. Well, I guess it's disingenuous of me to say I've never like read any of Brandon Sanderson stuff, because when he dropped those snippets of his secret books, I definitely was on every single one of them, and I like every single one of them multiple times. Like Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, I gotta get that book because I've listened, read that so many times. I'm parched. God damn. But yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see how this goes. And I don't know if you guys know this, but this is something that was awesome that I just found out. The audiobook of Mistborn is done by your boy. It's done by your boy. It's done by your boy, Michael Kramer, yo. Yeah. Look at my chunky baby, yo. Look at my chunky baby. That's a lot of baby, ain't it? That's a lot of baby, ain't it? Mwah. All right, back to your mama. Marcy said, I hear a kid. Present the kid. The kid has been presented. Yumi is top tier. That's really what I wanted to start with. I wanted to start with Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, but especially because it's newer, but Mistborn is a more quote-unquote popular type of series, and there are multiple of them, so it'll give us time to, get that going. And then I got a ton of comic books right here, if you guys see, so I want to jump into some of those. We are in our chat talk section, so I am going to show off some of these comics real quick. Oh god. Okay, some of these are old, though. There we go. Okay, so I'll start it with this. OMG, so cute. Yeah, that's my little baby. All right, so this is the first comic I got not today, but this is Rogue Sun. This is an amazing comic. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I got the trade of it. I got the trade. I know we want to do comic book stuff too. I got this X-Men comic. I got Ultimate Spider-Man 1, the new Uncanny X-Men that just dropped today. I got this variant cover of X-Men, the Ultimate X-Men 1, X-Force 1, 100 of Nightwing. This story for Superman is fantastic. This is the Dawn of DC Superman 1. This story was fantastic, so I got the second one today. These are solid. Loved them both. Not these. The first one was solid, so I'm hoping that I enjoy the second one just as much. Void Rivals is another one that I just picked up today. Void Rivals as well as Duke. go into the new Transformers G.I. Joe stuff that they're trying to do, because they're starting that whole universe over. So, these are, I'm excited to read Void Rivals and this one, and then G.I. Joe doesn't come out until November, so I'll be able to catch up on that before we get to it. And then this is basically like the end game of the Power Rangers run that they have going on right now. Thank you very much. So I'm not gonna read this one because, well, again, it's the end game of the run, so I don't wanna ruin it all for me. But I wanted to pick that issue up because it is an issue 1. This is a standalone, basically, and so I'm excited to check that one out as well. So those are some of the comics that I have. You guys should go and check them out too. I want to do book clubs for some of these. I'm not sure which ones exactly, because there's so much going on right now. I know this Ultimate X-Men run is crazy. Like, it's crazy. So I definitely want to check. I want to check that out. I want to check out that Spider-Man run. I want to check out that new Uncanny X-Men. I'm excited. I'm gonna read some of these today, if not the majority of them. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not sure how to start doing content on those just yet. I do want to do comic book club. The comic book club the comic book store that I go to is called Comic Book Clubhouse. So shout out to my local comic book store, Comic Book Clubhouse. I've been over there a lot lately, vibing, chilling, nerding out with everybody, talking about nerdy shit. You know how we do around these parts. So that's my little comic book haul right there, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what else we can get into about this chat talk. You might have heard this listening to Brandon Sanderson's podcast, but he's talked about writing when he was a kid, and it always started with a wind scene, a la Wheel of Time. He had to break that habit. What? That's crazy. That's pretty awesome, actually. And I think I don't watch his podcast all the time or listen to his podcast all the time, but I did used to kind of have that in my rotation. I actually need to bring that back. Thank you for mentioning it, because I definitely I low-key forgot that he even had that, Brandon. He even had that podcast. I think you're talking about the one where he's like signing while he's like doing a podcast. That's the one thing I love about Brandon Sanderson, is he functions very similar to the way that I do in life. And that is, if I can do something while I'm doing something, I'm going to do something. You know what I mean? Like, people are always trying to figure out how I'm always watching shows and doing all this stuff at once. And it's like, bro, I'm working. And if I'm working, I can also have something going on. And I can be taking care of multiple things at one time, bro. And that's what I love about Brandon Sanderson. He's like, bro, I'm not just going to sit here and just sign papers for like an hour and not do anything but sign these papers. I need to be doing something else that can be productive. Let's start a podcast. I love it. I love that. Like, I would so do that same thing, bro. Like, he works very efficiently. I love it. I love efficient nerds, man. And that's amazing. But back to what you're saying, that starting it with the wind scene like that is beautiful as well. Wind is I think Wind is a very powerful character when it comes to narrative, right? Like, I feel like it's really incredible to not just incredible, but it's like the best way that you can show so many different feelings with the wind. I think the wind brings very different I don't want to just say ominous, but there's a lot of feelings that come with the wind. It can be ominous, it can be sad, the wind can whistle, you know what I mean? Like, the wind is such a important character, I feel like. And Wheel of Time is amazing, so I can see why he would do that. But I've only read 2 of the Wheel of Time books, so I might not even have read the book that he's that made him do that. Who knows? I hear a kid present the kid. I have presented, baby. Do not yell. Thank you. Looking like his daddy. A whole bunch of trunker, baby. Mistborn is a perfect cosmere entry point if you want the connected lore. Ooh. And you know how I feel about lore, Sharice. I love me some lore. I love lore, yo. Like, I am a lore junkie. It's so bad, but I am a lore and world building junkie. Like, it just drives me absolutely insane how much I love lore. Because, man, I can just tune into it increasingly much. Like, I can just dial in on it. So much so. I love it. The Transformers G.I. Joe cinematic crossover is there for the taking. Yeah. And basically they're trying to from what I was talking to my guy Josh in the comic book store, he was telling me that, they're basically taking all of these different universes, well, not all of the universes, but all these different stories that have been told over time, and they're kind of consolidating them into one cohesive story, because before, the G.I. Joe and the Transformers never really felt like they were in the same universe. So now they want to kind of tell a more cohesive story with that and make it be known that it is in one connected universe. And then all that stuff also goes into what we get with the Void Rivals stuff as well, and that's why I picked up Void Rivals. So Void Rivals, G.I. Joe. No, it goes Void Rivals, and then Void Rivals goes into Transformers, and then Transformers goes into the new G.I. Joe series that we're going to be getting in November. And that's going to all be pretty amazing. So I'm excited for all of that stuff. I'm the complete opposite. I hyper-focus on the thing, and that's the only thing I do that day. Oh, no, I'm getting like 4 things done in a day for sure. Robert Jordan's epitaph reads, "He came like the wind touched everything, and like the wind was gone." He came like the wind is a vicious way to start anything. I'm not going to lie to you. That's vicious. Yeah, that's vicious. Yeah, came like the wind is vicious. Okay. What did I want to see? Oh. Okay, so I did want to see. Bow. Let's pause that. Let's search. I do want to also read The Way of Kings. I hear so much about The Way of Kings, and I definitely want to get into that. Chat, do we know if Brandon Sanderson does comics? Do we know that? Do we know the answer to that question? Yo, what is this? Dragonsteel Prime. What is that? Yeah, I'm looking through Brandon Sanderson stuff right now. No way bruh's dropping. Is bruh still dropping secret projects, y'all? There's no way, right? Like, there's no way Brandon Sanderson's still dropping. There's no way. Not. What am I trying to look for? Oh. Here we go. Bam. All right, let's check this. Let's check this video out real quick. This is all. Most of you guys have probably already seen this video. I'm like, what am I looking for, son? Bam. Whoops. Got a lot of stuff going on over here. Sorry, guys. Here we go. What? Why is that tiny? That's what she said. What's going on here? Can we just... Yeah. Wah. Whoa. I have no idea why. My stuff is tweaking. What's going on? There we go. That was crazy. Oops.
I answered this question a number of years ago. So, 2024, where do I start on Brandon's books? I answered this question a number of years ago, but things have changed since then. You have a few entry points into my work. I would recommend starting with, if you want to know what I've been doing most recently, one of the secret projects, actually. In fact, I recommend that new readers start with Tress of the Emerald Sea. Now, this is a standalone novel with a bit of a whimsical and humorous bent. That might not be the actual best book for you, but where we stand right now, I think it is one of the best places to start. Now, if you would prefer something more action-heavy, then I would recommend starting with Skyward. This is a science fiction novel about a young woman who joins her local space force fighting against a mysterious enemy. And it's action-packed, quick-paced, and an excellent place to start. Now, you do have also the option to start with Mistborn. Mistborn is the story of a fantasy heist. It is one of the books that made me famous. It's 20 years old by now, and it's apparently held up really
20 years old? Hey, come on, chat. How old are y'all?
well. People are still reading it.
Y'all talking about you read this
one
when
of
you
my
were young.
most famous books, and tied for one of my best-selling books. So I would recommend Mistborn.
unless
Mistborn,
y'all
if
was
you
like
want something more
7,
epic
6 reading
Trust of
this,
the Emerald
I don't
Sea,
know.
a little more fairy tale whimsy. Skyward, science fiction, space opera. Mistborn, epic fantasy, but kind of a fast-paced, heist-focused epic fantasy.
Oh, I'm so excited to
If
get
you
into
want
this
to
boy,
jump into the deep end first, The Way of Kings is
jump into the deep end first.
a giant epic. This is the Stormlight Archive. These are enormous books. Twice
Okay, I've heard a lot about the Stormlight Archive. Never knew that
is
that
long-
was... I didn't know that the Stormlight Archive was the Way of Kings stuff. I had no idea. Like, legit, I did not know.
Jump into the deep end first. The Way of Kings is my giant epic. This is the Stormlight Archive. These
Okay, so... What I'm noticing... Because I'm going to go on a small little tangent here. Excuse me. But what I'm noticing is that, like... Does he have just one thing? You know? Like, does he have, like... Because for Robert Jordan, his one thing is Wheel of Time, right? And then he wrote 14 books within that series. Or, excuse me, he did not write all 14 of those. Sorry about that. But my thing is, you know, and then we have George R.R. Martin, whose thing is like Game of Thrones, and then he has books that kind of, I mean, I don't even know if he has a book called Game of Thrones. Like, but, you know, it's Game of Thrones, and then all these other things spin off from that. Like, do you need to have a one thing, or can you just kind of do whatever? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of my question, I guess. Because, like, with my own writing, I'm very torn with what to call things, because I want it to be a universe or a world that's going on, but it's like I want a thing that it is. But it's like Avatar The Last Airbender isn't just Avatar The Last Airbender, because it's also, you know, The Legend of Korra, you know, that Avatar The Legend of Korra, and then you got other Avatar stuff. So it's like, does Brandon Sanderson have a one thing? Does every writer have a one thing, or is that just like some writers have a one thing and not all writers do? You know what I mean? That's I don't even know what my question is here. The Way of Kings is 4 books in with 6 more planned. It'll probably be more, just a heads up. Oh, that's freaking awesome. How am I supposed to... I'm supposed to read all these comics, read all these novels, watch all these shows and movies. I think I could do it. It's not like I'm not getting money from it. He dropped a secret RPG. What? He dropped a secret RPG. Bruh, Brandon Sanderson is insane. Secrets are so fun or no fun. Ooh, Tress of the Emerald Sea was good and it was really fun. Oh, okay. Huh. All right.
These are enormous books, twice as long as even the Mistborn books, which are already
what's up with
twice as
Thatcher?
long as an average novel. This is the series I'm probably best known for, tied with sales with Mistborn, and it is an epic war narrative. Something a little closer to the Wheel of Time.
Epic
or Game of
war
Thrones.
narrative. Oh.
Finally, one last place you could start if you want something shorter, if you want to just taste what I do, or if you want something a little more literary, The Emperor's Soul is an excellent starting point. You can find that bound in the book Arcanum Unbounded, or you can buy it on its own. It is a novella, so it again is half the length of even one of the shorter of my novels. An excellent place to start to just see if my style matches what you like to read. So that's the 2024 edition of where I recommend you start on my books.
That's awesome, yo. That's freaking dope, yo.
So, welcome to the weekly update, a special weekly update, because today we are launching the Stormlight RPG. And indeed, there's a video live that you may want to check out because there is always another secret, and there might be some things to learn from the video. I am going to hand you over to Dan, who is at Gen Con right now, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about this Kickstarter that we're doing that is live right now. Thank you all so much for your enthusiasm over the years. We are doing an RPG because you asked for it, and you asked for it, and you asked for it, and we finally have gotten around to doing it. And a lot of time and love and care went into this book, well, these books, and a lot of continuity work from me and my team to make sure that this is something that will always be in continuity and that you will still be able to enjoy 20 years from now as a nice companion to the Stormlight Archive. So here's Dan.
Hi, this is Dan reporting live from Gen Con, where we are showing off the Stormlight
What the
RPG,
hell?
and I am very excited to introduce to you, Bing, Johnny O'Neill, the creative director.
So this is the
that
tabletop, right?
RPG. You have something very exciting to tell us. What is it?
I'm very excited to tell you, Dan, that the Stormlight RPG is actually the Cosmere RPG.
And it is live on Kickstarter right now.
Yo, what? What the hell?
In a world of storms and war, the Knights Radiant have returned, drawing power from the ideals they speak and the bonds they forge with Spren. The forces of Odium threaten all of Roshar, Regals, Fused, and the Unmade. But as the battle for Roshar rages on, the war for the Cosmere is just beginning. Will you become a Radiant of Roshar, a Mistborn of Scadrial, an Elantrian of Sel, or a World Hopper, exploring the mysteries of the Cosmere?
What the hell?
Welcome to a universe of adventure, of investiture, of stories waiting to be told. Welcome to the Cosmere RPG.
Wait, that was hard at the end.
Investiture
Hold on.
of stories waiting to be told.
Those logos that he has for each one of these are
Welcome.
fire.
To the Cosmere
Those are fire.
RPG.
Those are fire, bro. Those are fire logos.
My books are largely connected in a universe I call the Cosmere. This came about because of a couple of reasons. It's hard to look back 30, 40 years and figure out what I was thinking when I started to devise this. But I love a big, cool epic. It's my deepest first love. And as I started to work on my books, I thought, I want to do a big epic, but I have to hide it. And I started layering all of these things together, and it became the Cosmere. Really built around 3 planets. Built around Sel, where Elantris was taking place, the first book that I released. Scadrial, built around the Mistborn series, which I already had written a draft of, and Roshar, where I'd already written The Way of Kings Prime, and
Yo, okay, all right, bro. I'm gonna nerd out with this later. I can't wait. This is amazing. This is amazing, yo. I love listening to Brandon Sanderson talk. I could listen to Brett talk about anything for hours. No cap. I'm not even playing around. I could listen to that guy talk about anything for hours. I wish he was reading his books, and like he needs to read his books dead ass. I'm locked in. I love this series. Hey, let's go. You love Mistborn, bro? That's what's up. Robert Jordan wrote other things too, but Wheel of Time is the big one. George R. Martin also wrote other things, but Asoyaf is the big one. Wheel of Time was the last thing Robert Jordan did. He did other stuff like Conan the Barbarian as well. Plenty of nonfiction. Okay, Stormlight Archive 5 comes out this winter. Damn. George R. R. Martin also wrote plenty of generic TV. That's crazy work, Marisu. You're a menace for that. You can check his IMDb. Hi, Thatch. Oh, okay. The Emperor's Soul is absolutely top tier as well. Damn. It sounds like bro just makes bangers. One day the Cosmere will take over the MCU. Yo, that's just crazy. That's just crazy, bruh. That's crazy. Absolutely, the Cosmere is one of the best connected universes ever. Damn, son. Damn. I gotta get to reading. I gotta get to reading. All right. Let's see. I think that's it. I think those are all of the things for that part. For Chat Talk, at the very least. That's it for Chat Talk. Ooh, that's it for Chat Talk. So let's get into the next portion of things, and that being we're gonna check out the prologue. Actually, yeah, we're gonna check out the entirety of the prologue, as we do at the start of these series, checking out the prologue, getting into it, and then we're gonna talk about it afterwards, ladies and gents. So I'm hyped, yo. I really want to check out The Way of Kings now that he said that it's like his Game of Thrones and his Wheel of Time. Like, I am so ready to check that out, but I also am ready to check this out. Like, I want to check it all out. Like, that's all I can say is I'm ready for everything. I'm ready for everything. All right, man. And before we get into it, y'all already know what to do.
6 nations divided, how the gods envisioned the lands of Gafora, where nations must praise their gods individually. Inguvu, the god of power, Altira, the goddess of reality, Akasha, the goddess of space, Akaili, the goddess of mind, Nafasi, the god of time, Isarin, the god of soul. Each god bestowed their name and universal property to their nation through the blood of their land. Diligent praise to these gods, along with the blood of the land, allows the inhabitants of Gafora to wield the universal property of their god. These inhabitants are called gifts. It is forbidden for these nations to fraternize with one another. Gifts, the lands of Gafora.
Man. Excuse me. My bad. Yeah. Shit. Okay. Let's get it. So, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Just last side note, man. I have been having, like, I got to get out of my head. Well, no. Let me start by saying this. I have been making some actual progress with my book and the fact that it's being now. I found an artist to help me really tailor it to what I want it to be. And we've been like getting characters drawn out and all that type of stuff. And we're about to start getting pages done. So I've got some designs already drawn up. I got some characters, got the full characters designs ready and going. And then we're about to, I'm getting the cover made right now. And then we're going to start doing pages going into these next couple of weeks and stuff like that. So hopefully soon my book will also be a comic. And then once we kind of get that stuff rolling a little bit more, I've been writing more as well. So it's all kind of moving right along. So W Vibes over there, yo. Shout out to my artist, yo, Opalai. She's dope. And I can't wait to show you guys some of the stuff that me and her have been working on. I'm really just waiting for that. I'm really just waiting for the cover. And then once I get that cover back, I'll be able to show you guys that once I get that cover back, that's when I'll start showing off stuff. I know I was supposed to like go live with my book and stuff like that, but there was a lot of other stuff going on just in life, so I wasn't able to do that when I wanted to. But hopefully we can get that done sometime soon as well. So that's all that stuff. W Vibes all around for all of that good vibes going on there. And so I'm hyped to get it going. I'm hyped to get the comic really cranking out too, because I know a lot of people are interested in the comic. A lot of people have been interested in the book too, but people don't like to read at the same time. So I'm still looking for people to read it and check it out. So we'll see what's pipping and plopping over there with all that. But with all that being said, I'm excited to jump into the prologue for Mistborn, ladies and gentlemen. So let's make it happen, Captain. Let's make it happen. I'm hyped. I'm pumped. I'm all of the above. Let's see. Do I not have it open? Yeah, I do have it open. Bam. 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 All right. Ha. Hey, I'm pumped, yo. I'm pumped to check out this prologue. It's a long ass prologue too, ladies and gents. So let's get it crickling and crackling. Bam. Okay. All right. And now let's get transported into the world of Mistborn.
Mistborn. Sometimes I worry that I'm not the hero everyone thinks I am. The philosophers assure me that this is the time, that the signs have been met. But I still wonder if they have the wrong man. So many people depend on me. They say I will hold the future of the entire world on my arms. What would they think if they knew that their champion, the hero of ages, their savior, doubted himself?
Hero of ages?
Perhaps they wouldn't be shocked at all. In a way, this is what worries me most. Maybe in their hearts they wonder, just as I do. When they see me, do they see a liar?
Bruh.
Prologue.
We're already cooking.
1.
We're already cooking.
Ash fell from the sky. Lord Trusting frowned, glancing up at the ruddy midday sky as his servants scuttled forward, opening a parasol over Trusting and his distinguished guest. Ash falls weren't that uncommon in the Final Empire, but Trusting had hoped to avoid getting soot stains on his fine new suit coat and red vest, which had just arrived via canal boat from Luthadel itself. Fortunately, there wasn't much wind. The parasol would likely be effective. Trusting stood with his guest on a small hilltop patio that overlooked the fields. Hundreds of people in brown smocks worked in the falling ash, caring for the crops. There was a sluggishness to their efforts, but of course that was the way of the Ska. The peasants were an indolent, unproductive lot. They didn't complain, of course. They knew better than that. Instead, they simply worked with bowed heads, moving about their work with quiet apathy. The passing whip of a taskmaster would force them into dedicated motion for a few moments, but as soon as the taskmaster passed, they would return to their languor. Trusting turned to the man standing beside him on the hill. "One would think," Trusting noted, "that 1,000 years of working in fields would have bred them to be a little more effective at it." The obligator turned, raising an eyebrow, the motion done as if to highlight his most distinctive feature, the intricate tattoos that laced the skin around his eyes. The tattoos were enormous, reaching all the way across his brow and up the sides of his nose. This was a full prelin, a very important obligator indeed. Trusting had his own personal obligators back at the manor, but they were only minor functionaries with barely a few marks around their eyes. This man had arrived from Luthadel with the same canal boat that had brought Trusting's new suit. "You should see City Ska, Trusting," the obligator said, turning back to watch the Ska workers. "These are actually quite diligent compared to those inside Luthadel. You have more direct control over your Ska here. How many would you say you lose a month?" "Oh, 6 or so," Trusting said. "Some to beatings, some to exhaustion." "Runaways?" "Never," Trusting said. "When I first inherited this land from my father, I had a few runaways, but I executed their families. The rest quickly lost heart."
Oh my god.
"I've never understood men who have trouble with their Ska. I find the creatures easy to control if you show a properly firm hand."
Okay, so the Ska
obligator
are
nodded, standing
like
quietly
humans,
in his
right?
gray robes.
Like they're not like some like
He seemed pleased,
dragonoids,
which was a good thing.
like they
The Ska weren't actually Trusting's property. Like all Ska, they belonged to the Lord Ruler. Trusting only leased the workers from his god, much in the same way he paid for the services of his obligators.
Okay.
The obligator looked down, checking his pocket watch, then glanced up at the sun. Despite the ashfall, the sun was bright this day, shining a brilliant crimson red behind the smoky blackness of the upper sky. Trusting removed a handkerchief and wiped his brow, thankful for the parasol's shade against the midday heat.
I thought they were people.
"Very well, Trusting," the
like,
obligator
well,
said. "I will carry
they
your
just
proposal
talked
to
about it
Lord
like they're not
Venture as
people.
requested. He will have a favorable report from me on your operations here." Trusting held in a sigh of relief. An obligator was required to witness any contract or business deal between noblemen. True, even a lowly obligator like the ones Trusting employed could serve as such a witness, but it meant so much more to impress Straff Venture's own obligator. The obligator turned toward him. "I will leave back down the canal this afternoon." "So soon?" Trusting asked. "Wouldn't you care to stay for supper?" "No," the obligator replied. "Though there is another matter I wish to discuss with you. I came not only at the behest of Lord Venture, but to look in on some matters for the Canton of Inquisition. Rumors say that you like to dally with your Ska women." Trusting felt a chill. The obligator smiled.
Yo, is that
He likely meant it
tic-tac-toe
to be
right
disarming,
there?
but Trusting only found it eerie. "Don't worry yourself, Trusting," the obligator said. "If there had been any real worries about your actions, a Steel Inquisitor would have been sent here in my place."
A Steel Inquisitor.
Trusting nodded slowly.
Inquisitor is such a badass word.
He'd never seen one of the inhuman creatures, but he had heard stories. "I have been satisfied regarding your actions with the Ska women," the obligator said, looking back over the fields. "What I've seen and heard here indicate that you always clean up your messes. A man such as yourself, efficient, productive, could go far in Luthadel.
Well,
A few more years of work, some inspired mercantile deals, and who knows?" The obligator turned away, and Trusting found himself smiling. It wasn't a promise or even an endorsement. For the most part, obligators were more bureaucrats and witnesses than they were priests. But to hear such praise from one of the Lord Ruler's own servants... Trusting knew that some nobility considered the obligators to be unsettling. Some men even considered them a bother. But at that moment, Trusting could have kissed his distinguished guest. Trusting turned back toward the Ska, who worked quietly beneath the bloody sun and the lazy flakes of ash. Trusting had always been a country nobleman, living on his plantation, dreaming of perhaps moving into Luthadel itself. He had heard of the balls and the parties, the glamour and the intrigue, and it excited him to no end. "I'll have to celebrate tonight," he thought. There was that young girl in the 14th hovel that he'd been watching for some time.
Well, damn.
He smiled again.
Why the hell did Michael
A few
Kramer
more
get
years
so
of work,
creepy?
the obligator had said. But could Trusting
That
perhaps
shit
speed
was
that up
creepy,
if he
bro.
worked a little harder? His
His
Ska
voice
population
made
had been
me so
growing lately. Perhaps if he pushed them a bit more, he could bring in an extra harvest this summer and fulfill his contract with Lord Venture in extra measure. Trusting nodded as he watched the crowd of lazy Ska, some working with their hoes, others on hands and knees pushing the ash away from the fledgling crops. They didn't complain, they didn't hope, they barely dared think. That was the way it should be, for they were Ska. They were... Trusting froze as one of the Ska looked up. The man met Trusting's eyes, a spark, no, a fire of defiance showing in his expression. Trusting had never seen anything like it, not on the face of a Ska. Trusting stepped backward reflexively, a chill running through him as the strange, straight-backed Ska held his eyes. And smiled. Trusting looked away. "Curtin!" he snapped. The burly taskmaster rushed up the incline. "Yes, my lord." Trusting turned, pointing at... He frowned. Where had that Ska been standing? Working with their heads bowed, bodies stained by soot and sweat, they were so hard to tell apart. Trusting paused, searching. He thought he knew the place. An empty spot where nobody now stood. But no, that couldn't be it. The man couldn't have disappeared from the group so quickly. Where would he have gone? He must be in there somewhere, working with his head now properly bowed. Still, his moment of apparent defiance was inexcusable. "My lord?" Curtin asked again. The obligator stood at the side, watching curiously. It would not be wise to let the man know that one of the Ska had acted so brazenly. "Work the Ska in that southern section a little harder," Trusting ordered, pointing. "I see them being sluggish, even for Ska. Beat a few of them." Curtin shrugged, but nodded. It wasn't much of a reason for a beating, but then he didn't need much of a reason to give the workers a beating. They were, after all, only Ska.
It gives me Dark Crystal vibes.
Kelsier had heard stories. He had heard whispers of times when once, long ago, the sun had not been red. Times when the sky hadn't been clogged by smoke and ash, when plants hadn't struggled to grow, and when Ska hadn't been slaves. Times before the Lord Ruler. Those days, however, were nearly forgotten. Even the legends were growing vague. Kelsier watched the sun, his eyes following the giant red disk as it crept toward the western horizon. He stood quietly for a long moment, alone in the empty fields. The day's work was done. The Ska had been herded back to their hovels. Soon the mists would come. Eventually, Kelsier sighed, then turned to pick his way across the furrows and pathways, weaving between large heaps of ash. He avoided stepping on the plants, though he wasn't sure why he bothered. The crops hardly seemed worth the effort. Wan, with wilted brown leaves, the plants seemed as depressed as the people who tended them. The Ska hovels loomed in the waning light. Already Kelsier could see the mists beginning to form, clouding the air and giving the mound-like buildings a surreal, intangible look. The hovels stood unguarded. There was no need for watchers, for no Ska would venture outside once night arrived. Their fear of the mists was far too strong. I'll have to cure them of that someday, Kelsier thought as he approached one of the larger buildings. But all things in their own time. He pulled open the door and slipped inside. Conversation stopped immediately. Kelsier closed the door, then turned with a smile to confront the room of about 30 Ska. A fire pit burned weakly at the center, and the large cauldron beside it was filled with a vegetable-dappled water, the beginnings of an evening meal. The soup would be bland, of course. Still, the smell was enticing. "Good evening, everyone," Kelsier said with a smile, resting his pack beside his feet and leaning against the door. "How was your day?" His words broke the silence, and the women returned to their dinner preparations. A group of men sitting at a crude table, however, continued to regard Kelsier with dissatisfied expressions. "Our day was filled with work, traveler," said Tepper, one of the Ska elders. "Something you managed to avoid." "Field work hasn't ever really suited me," Kelsier said. "It's far too hard on my delicate skin." He smiled, holding up hands and arms that were lined with layers and layers of thin scars. They covered his skin, running lengthwise, as if some beast had repeatedly raked its claws up and down his arms. Tepper snorted. He was young to be an elder, probably barely into his 40s. At most, he might be 5 years Kelsier's senior. However, the scrawny man held himself with the air of one who liked to be in charge. "This is no time for levity," Tepper said sternly. "When we harbor a traveler, we expect him to behave himself and avoid suspicion. When you ducked away from the fields this morning, you could have earned a whipping for the men around you." "True," Kelsier said. "But those men could also have been whipped for standing in the wrong place, for pausing too long, or for coughing when a taskmaster walked by. Oh. I once saw a man beaten because his master claimed that he had blinked inappropriately." Tepper sat with narrow eyes and a stiff posture, his arm resting on the table. His expression was unyielding. Kelsier sighed, rolling his eyes. "Fine, if you want me to go, I'll be off then." He slung his pack up on his shoulder and nonchalantly pulled open the door. Thick mist immediately began to pour through the portal, drifting lazily across Kelsier's body, pooling on the floor and creeping across the dirt like a hesitant animal. Several people gasped in horror, though most of them were too stunned to make a sound. Kelsier stood for a moment, staring out into the dark mists, their shifting currents lit feebly by the cooking pit's coals. "Close the door." Tepper's words were a plea, not a command.
Bro.
Kelsier did as requested, pushing the door closed and stemming the flood of white mist. "The mist is not what you think.
Good air, Marisu.
You fear it far too
How
much.
dare you breathe his air?
Men who venture into the mist lose their souls."
Breathe your
Woman
own
whispered.
air.
Her words raised a question. Had Kelsier walked in the mists? What then happened to his soul? If you only knew, Kelsier thought. Well, I guess this means I'm staying. He waved for a boy to bring him a stool. It's a good thing, too. It would have been a shame for me to leave before I shared my news. More than one person perked up at the comment. This was the real reason they tolerated him. The reason even the timid peasants would harbor a man such as Kelsier, a Ska who defied the Lord Ruler's will by traveling from plantation to plantation. A renegade he might be, a danger to the entire community, but he brought news from the outside world. I come from the north, Kelsier said, from lands where the Lord Ruler's touch is less noticeable. He spoke in a clear voice, and people leaned unconsciously toward him as they worked. On the next day, Kelsier's words would be repeated to the several hundred people who lived in other hovels. The Ska might be subservient, but they were incurable
That is such
gossips.
a dope way to tell us how
Local lords rule in the
the
west,
information is
Kelsier
spreading,
said,
right?
and they
isn't
are
that
far
dope?
from the iron grip of the Lord Ruler and his obligators. Some of these distant noblemen are finding that happy Ska make better workers than mistreated Ska. One man, Lord Renew, has even ordered his taskmasters to stop unauthorized beatings. There are whispers that he's considering paying wages to his plantation Ska, like city craftsmen might earn. Nonsense, Tepper said. My apologies, Kelsier said. I didn't realize that Goodman Tepper had been to Lord Renew's estates recently. When you dined with him last, did he tell you something that he did not tell me? Tepper blushed. Ska did not travel, and they certainly didn't dine with lords. You think me a fool, traveler, Tepper said, but I know what you're doing. You're the one they call the survivor. Those scars on your arms give you away. You're a troublemaker. You travel the plantations, stirring up discontent. You eat our food, telling your grand stories and your lies, then you disappear and leave people like me to deal with the false hopes you give our children. Kelsier raised an eyebrow. Now, Goodman Tepper, he said. Your worries are completely unfounded. Why, I have no intention of eating your food. I brought my own. With that, Kelsier reached over and tossed his pack onto the earth before Tepper's table. The loose bag slumped to the side, dumping an array of foods to the ground. Fine breads, fruits, and even a few thick-cured sausages bounced free. A summer fruit rolled across the packed earthen floor and bumped lightly against Tepper's foot. The middle-aged Ska regarded the fruit with stunned eyes. That's nobleman's food, Kelsier snorted. Barely. You know, for a man of renowned prestige and rank, your Lord Tresting has remarkably poor taste. His pantry is an embarrassment to his noble station. Tepper paled even further. That's where you went this afternoon,
Bruh,
he
is
whispered.
Robin?
You went to the manor. You stole from the master. Indeed,
Bro,
Kelsier said.
is Robin
And
them?
might I add that while your lord's taste in food is
That's
deplorable,
crazy.
his eye for soldiers is far more impressive. Sneaking into his manor during the
I wonder
day
what
was
kind
quite a
of music
challenge.
Ska listened to.
Tepper was still staring at the bag of food. If the taskmasters find this here... Well, I suggest you make it disappear
Really,
then,
Mary Sue?
Kelsier said.
Really?
I'd be willing to bet that it tastes a fair bit better than watered-down farlet soup. 24 sets of hungry eyes studied the food. If
Like,
Tepper intended
are you
further
just sitting
arguments, he
there
didn't make
waiting?
them quickly enough, for his silent pause was taken as agreement. Within a few minutes, the bag's contents had been inspected and distributed, and the pot of soup sat bubbling and ignored as the Ska feasted on a meal far more exotic.
Cerise, thank you.
Kelsier sat back, leaning against the hovel's wooden wall, and watching the people devour their food. He had spoken correctly. The pantry's offerings had been depressingly mundane. However, this was a people who had been fed on nothing but soup and gruel since they were children. To them, breads and fruits were rare delicacies, usually eaten only as aging discards brought down by the house servants. Your storytelling was cut short, young man, an elderly Ska noted, hobbling over to sit on a stool beside Kelsier. Oh, I suspect there will be time for more later, Kelsier said. Once all evidence of my thievery has been properly devoured. Don't you want any of it? No, indeed, the old man said. The last time I tried Lord's food, I had stomach pains for 3 days.
Oh.
New tastes are like new ideas, young man. The older you get, the more difficult they are for you to stomach. Kelsier paused.
Damn.
The old man was
That's
hardly
crazy.
an imposing sight. His leathered skin and bald scalp made him look more frail than they did wise. Yet he had to be stronger than he looked. Few plantation Ska lived to such ages. Many lords didn't allow the elderly to remain home from daily work, and the frequent beatings that made up a Ska's life took a terrible toll on the elderly. What was your name again? Kelsier asked. Menace. Kelsier glanced back at Tepper. So, Goodman Menace, tell me something. Why do you let him lead?
The face of oppression.
Menace shrugged. When you get to be my age, you have to be very careful where you waste your energy. Some battles just aren't worth fighting. There was an implication in Menace's eyes. He was referring to things greater than his own struggle with Tepper. You're satisfied with this, then? Kelsier asked, nodding toward the hovel and its half-starved, overworked occupants. You're content with a life full of beatings and endless drudgery? At least it's a life, Menace said. I know what wages malcontent and rebellion bring. The eye of the Lord Ruler and the ire of the Steel Ministry can be far more terrible than a few whippings. Men like you preach change, but I wonder, is this a battle we can really fight? You're fighting it already, Goodman Menace. You're just losing horribly. Kelsier shrugged. But what do I know? I'm just a traveling miscreant, here to eat your food and impress your youths.
Cooking their ass.
Menace shook his head. You jest, but Tepper might have been right. I fear your visit will bring us grief. Kelsier smiled. That's why I didn't contradict him. At least, not on the troublemaker point. He paused, then smiled more deeply. In fact, I'd say calling me a troublemaker is probably the only accurate thing Tepper has said since I got here. How do you do that? Menace asked, frowning. What? Smile so much. Oh, I'm just a happy person. Menace glanced down at Kelsier's hands. You know, I've only seen scars like those on one other person, and he was dead. His body was returned to Lord Tristing as proof that his punishment had been carried out. Menace looked up at Kelsier. He'd been caught speaking of rebellion. Tristing sent him to the pits of Hathsin, where he was worked until he died. The lad lasted less than a month. Kelsier glanced down at his hands and forearms. They still burned sometimes, though he was certain the pain was only in his mind. He looked up at Menace and smiled.
That's pretty bad.
You ask why I smile, Goodman Menace? Well, the Lord Ruler thinks he has claimed laughter and joy for himself. I'm disinclined to let him do so. This is one battle that doesn't take very much effort to fight. Menace stared at Kelsier, and for a moment Kelsier thought the old man might smile in return. However, Menace eventually just shook his head. I don't know. I just don't... The scream cut him off. It came from outside, perhaps to the north, though the mists distorted sounds. The people in the hovel fell silent, listening to the faint, high-pitched yells. Despite the distance and the mist, Kelsier could hear the pain contained in those screams. Kelsier burned tin.
Dennis the Menace?
It was simple for him now, after years of practice. The tin sat with other allomantic metals within his stomach, swallowed earlier, waiting for him to draw upon them. He reached inside with his mind and touched the tin, tapping powers he still barely understood. The tin flared to life within him, burning his stomach like the sensation of a hot drink swallowed too quickly. Allomantic power surged through his body, enhancing his senses. The room around him became crisp, the dull fire pit flaring to near blinding brightness. He could feel the grain in the wood of the stool beneath him. He could still taste the remnants of the loaf of bread he'd snacked on earlier. Most importantly, he could hear the screams with supernatural ears. Two separate people were yelling. One was an older woman, the other a younger woman, perhaps a child. The younger screams were getting farther and farther away. Poor Jess, a nearby woman said, her voice booming in Kelsier's enhanced ears. That child of hers was a curse. It's better for Ska not to have pretty daughters. Tepper nodded. Lord Tristing was sure to send for the girl sooner or later. We all knew it. Jess knew it. Still a shame, though, another man said. The screams continued in the distance. Burning tin, Kelsier was able to judge the direction accurately. Her voice was moving toward the Lord's manor. The sounds set something off within him, and he felt his face flush with anger. Kelsier turned. "Does Lord Trusting ever return the girls after he's finished with them?" Old Menace shook his head. "Lord Trusting is a law-abiding nobleman. He has the girls killed after a few weeks. He doesn't want to catch the eye of the Inquisitors." That was the Lord Ruler's command. He couldn't afford to have half-breed children running around, children who might possess powers that Ska weren't even supposed to know existed. The screams waned, but Kelsier's anger only built. The yells reminded him of other screams, a woman's screams from the past. He stood abruptly, stool toppling to the ground behind him. "Careful, lad," Menace said apprehensively. "Remember what I said about wasting energy? You'll never raise that rebellion of yours if you get yourself killed tonight." Kelsier glanced toward the old man. Then, through the screams and the pain, he forced himself to smile. "I'm not here to lead a rebellion among you, Goodman Menace. I just want to stir up a little trouble."
Brother.
What good could that do? Kelsier's smile deepened.
I just want to
New days are coming. Survive a little longer, and you just might see great happenings in the final empire. I bid you all thanks for your hospitality. With that, he pulled open the door and strode out into the mist. Menace lay awake in the early hours of morning. It seemed that the older he became, the more difficult it was for him to sleep. This was particularly true when he was troubled about something, such as the traveler's failure to return to the hovel. Menace hoped that Kelsier had come to his senses and decided to move on. However, that prospect seemed unlikely. Menace had seen the fire in Kelsier's eyes. It seemed such a shame that a man who had survived the pits would instead find death here, on a random plantation, trying to protect a girl everyone else had given up for dead.
Okay, so it was him that bro was talking about earlier.
How would Lord Trusting react? He was said to be particularly harsh with anyone who interrupted his nighttime enjoyments. If Kelsier had managed to disturb the master's pleasures, Trusting might easily decide to punish the rest of his Ska by association.
Throwing a lot at you really early on. I love it.
Eventually, the other Ska began to awake.
This is the prologue. I forgot.
Menace lay on the hard earth,
this is the prologue. This
aching,
isn't even the book.
back complaining, muscles exhausted, trying to decide if it was worth rising. Each day, he nearly gave up. Each day, it was a little harder. One day, he would just stay in the hovel, waiting until the taskmasters came to kill those who were too sick or too elderly to work. But not today. He could see too much fear in the eyes of the Ska. They knew that Kelsier's nighttime activities would bring trouble. They needed Menace. They looked to him. He needed to get up. And so he did. Once he started moving, the pains of age decreased slightly, and he was able to shuffle out of the hovel toward the fields, leaning on a younger man for support. It was then that he caught a scent in the air. "What's that?" he asked. "Do you smell smoke?" Shum, the lad upon whom Menace leaned, paused. The last remnants of the night's mist had burned away, and the red sun was rising behind the sky's usual haze of blackish clouds. "I always smell smoke lately," Shum said. "The ash mounts are violent this year." "No," Menace said, feeling increasingly apprehensive. "This is different." He turned to the north, toward where a group of Ska were gathering. He let go of Shum, shuffling toward the group, feet kicking up dust and ash as he moved. At the center of the group of people, he found Jess. Her daughter, the one they all assumed had been taken by Lord Trusting, stood beside her. The young girl's eyes were red from lack of sleep, but she appeared unharmed. "She came back not long after they took her," the woman was explaining. "She came and pounded on the door, crying in the mist. Flynn was sure it was just a mist wraith impersonating her, but I had to let her in." I don't care what he
what?
says, I'm not giving her up. I brought her out in the sunlight and she didn't
what?
disappear. That proves she's not a mist wraith. Menace stumbled back from the growing crowd. Did none of them see it? No taskmasters came to break up the group. No soldiers came to make the morning population counts. Something was very wrong. Menace continued to the north, moving frantically toward the manor house. By the time he arrived, others had noticed the twisting line of smoke that was just barely visible in the morning light. Menace wasn't the first to arrive at the edge of the short hilltop plateau, but the group made way for him when he did. The manor house was gone. Only a blackened, smoldering scar remained. "By the Lord Ruler,"
shit!
Menace whispered.
Kelsier's a
here?
goddamn terrorist!
"He killed them all." Menace turned. The speaker was Jess's girl. She stood looking down at the fallen house, a satisfied expression on her youthful face. "They were dead when he brought me out," she said. "All of them. The soldiers, the taskmasters, the lords, dead. Even Lord Tresting and his obligators. The master had left me, going to investigate when the noises began. On the way out, I saw him lying in his own blood, stab wounds in his chest. The man who saved me threw a torch in the building as we left." "This man," Menace said. "He had scars on his hands and arms reaching past the elbows?" The girl nodded silently. "What kind of demon was that man?" One of the Ska muttered uncomfortably. "Mist wraith," another whispered, apparently forgetting that Kelsier had gone out during the day. But he did go out into the mist, Menace thought. And how did he accomplish a feat like this? Lord Tresting kept over 24 soldiers.
Bruh.
Did Kelsier have a hidden band of rebels, perhaps? Kelsier's words from the night before sounded in his ears. New days are coming. "But what of us?" Tepper asked, terrified. "What will happen when the Lord Ruler hears this? He'll think that we did it. He'll send us to the pits, or maybe just send his Kolos to slaughter us outright. Why would that troublemaker do something like this? Doesn't he understand the damage he's done?" "He understands," Menace said. "He warned us, Tepper. He came to stir up trouble." "But why?" "Because he knew we'd never rebel on our own, so he gave us no choice." Tepper paled. Lord Ruler, Menace thought. I can't do this. I can barely get up in the mornings. I can't save this people. But what other choice was there? Menace turned. "Gather the people, Tepper. We must flee before word of this disaster reaches the Lord Ruler." "Where will we go?" "The caves to the east," Menace said. "Travelers say there are rebel Ska hiding in them. Perhaps they'll take us in." Tepper paled further. "But we'd have to travel for days, spend nights in the mist." "We can do that," Menace said, "or we can stay here and die." Tepper stood frozen for a moment, and Menace thought the shock of it all might have overwhelmed him. Eventually, however, the younger man scurried off to gather the others as commanded. Menace sighed, looking up toward the trailing line of smoke, cursing the man Kelsier quietly in his mind. New days indeed.
Yo, let's fucking go. That was awesome. That was awesome. That was crazy lit, brother. I'm not gonna lie. That was amazing. What in the what? What a prologue, bruh. Come on, G. What? What a prologue. Bruh. awesome. I am so hyped to read this book, yo. Whoa, that was really, really solid. Like, that was a solid prologue. I really like that. I really like that. I really like that, yo. I'm not gonna lie. That was a fire prologue. What a way to set up this book. I have no idea what's gonna happen next. I'm ready to get into it, though. I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped. What? Do we have a chapter cut off for this week? That is fantiddly-tastic. Wow. I'm really pumped about that one. That was great. That was great. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was awesome. Kelsier is a villain. But he's not. But he is. But he's not. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those type of things. Like, he's not a villain, but brother, he is a menace to society. But he ain't. He is what? He murdered everybody. Yo, he was not about to let them take that little girl. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy. Like, Kelsier did the damn thing. Like, I would have did the same damn thing, bruh. What, like, hold on. One thing that really stood out to me, though, is when he, like, uses his magic, or not his magic, but when he uses his power, his ability, like, the word choice that he used at that moment was really spectacular. And 3 POVs right off the bat. We go from Lord Trusting to Kelsier, however you say his name. I think I'm saying Kelsier because Excelsior, and my brain is just jumping on that for some reason. And then we end with Menace. Like, whoa. 3, what is that? 3 POVs. It's like 15 pages. Damn, bruh. What a way to start off the book. What a way to start off the book, yo. I'm excited to read these chapters. How much is it? Wait, let me see. Where's our... That shit was awesome. All right, let's see. Yeah, Brando needs to keep writing for sure. Like, if I could just talk to him. I know everybody feels like that. I know there's so many writers out there that gotta feel like that, but bro, if I could just talk to this guy, just give me 30 minutes of your time, bro. Like, if I could tell him about my book, that's all I would want in life. And then just to have him be like, oh, okay. Well, like, bruh, how much money do I have to pay you in order for you to just hear about my book and break it down? Alarchus and Warbreaker are awesome. I love Warbreaker. I'm cutting it at 4 chapters for next week. Okay, so we're going to chapter 4. So was that part 4? Or, wait, what? Okay, so this shit is set up. Wait, what? I'm so confused. Why is there... What does that mean? Part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. The end of part 1? What? Like, what? Hold on. What does this mean? People, help me, y'all. Why is there parts? Why is there a part 1 and 2 and 3 and 4? Bruh, I don't think I've ever seen that in a book before in my life. It's not like it's not like I'm You know, I'm no Al Roker or anything. I don't even know what that means. Bro, what's going on? Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, Part 5. Table of Elementic Metals. Allomancy alphabetical reference. Bruh, can I look at that? Should I not look at that? That sounds so awesome. He has a table for his magic system, guys. If you know me, you know that. You know that's all I. You know that's what I love. Bro, he has a table for his. Oh yeah, bro. Let me get away from that, yo, because I'm getting excited, yo. I'm getting excited. This is good timing. I just re-listened to Era 1 about a month ago. Don't know what that means. Just did the same thing. No, I'm locked in. You got that Two Rivers, that Althor farm. Bruh, some Watt prologues are over 100. Whoa. Damn, slavery, that's a downer. Yo, what a way to start the book. Like, what the feezy? We start the book with slaves and then one of them being a freaking liberator. Bruh started a rebellion and dipped. Ash falling and slavery already. Jeez, yo, and a little bit of SATs in there too, which is crazy work. Oh, they are very much people. When you say people, do you mean legally or... Nah, that's crazy. I don't know if they're legally considered people in universe. Oh my god, that's crazy work. So, okay, this might be... If this is a watch and find out answer, or a read and find out answer, please just let me know. But are there ska being used as slaves throughout the universe? Like, are they basically like how Star Wars uses androids? You know what I mean? Like, are they just everywhere in the universe and every planet is using them as ska, as slaves? You know what I mean? Like, is that how all of that works? Or do I need a Raffo? Kramer has experience with creepy, specifically Pad and Fane. Oh, this is really masterful prologue. It sets up so much so well and builds so much suspense and foreboding. Damn. Okay, that's a W. I mean, it is heavy as hell. It's a surprisingly heavy setting. I agree completely, yo. It is so heavy. I was not prepared for it. My brother on a road trip once complained to our parents that I was breathing his air, breathing up all that good air. Gotta watch you. You rightfully got taxed for that. You definitely rightfully got taxed for that, Marisu. The face of oppression is crazy. Yo. Kelsey would be like, I usually protest taxes, but I have to agree this time. Like, yo, she was outlandish with that one. You brought it on yourself, left my ass off. You can't do a Wesley Snipes and expect the government to let it slide. Oh, man. I keep hearing Menace as in Dennis. Do they still run that comic in the paper? I don't think so. The Dennis the Menace creator was a real piece of shit. Oh, my God, really? Highly recommend the 2-part Behind the Bastards podcast episodes about him. Behind the Bastards is a crazy title. Ash Mounts. Just say volcano. Oh shit. Is an Ash Mount just a volcano? Wow. Casual Mist Wraith drop. Yeah, like, what? Don't know what that is. Kelsier's a menace. If I were the little girl, I wouldn't trust these folk. People weren't that upset over... That is exactly what I was thinking about. I was like, bruh, all of them was just about to let that little girl get SA'd, and they were just gonna just sit there and like not do anything about it. But she should have knew not to have a pretty daughter. What the fuck are you talking about? That is... What? Are you out of your mind? Like, that is a crazy thing to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just thought it was inevitable. For real, for real. This really sets up how people really don't have hope on Scadrial. This really sets up how people really don't have hope on Scadrial. Is that what planet they're on? Are they on Scadrial? I'm pretty sure the only name that my brain retained was Luthadel. Luthadel, is that right? Yeah, that's the only thing. Hey, look at this map, yo. I need a cartographer for my shit. Like, that's really the next phase, is getting the cartographer and have him come through and just go through and just edit all the stuff. It's a huge cultural shock. For real, though. Not that you should compare it to Wheel of Time, but how would you compare it to Wheel of Time? Comparing Book 1 Wheel of Time Prologue to Mistborn Book 1 Prologue, if I was to do that, I would say that I enjoyed them both in a different manner, because the prologue to Wheel of Time was very much, it was a lot more like thriller-ish, I guess you could say, and there was a lot of it was very like mysterious from the get-go, because you're like, what the hell is going on? And then you got bruh yelling for Ileana, and then bruh's like following them around, and then you end it with like him breaking the world. You know what I mean? Like, that's a freaking crazy. That is one hell of an intro to a book, for real, for real. So, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it's hard to kind of make a, I don't want to say make a decision, but even like have an idea about what's going on there, because it's just so, that's just so powerful to go on there. And then you kind of have this doing the same thing, but it kind of happens off screen, because no doubt what Kelsier just did is a shock to the entire world. I guess you can even say that he's breaking the world by doing what he did in his own way. So I guess there's a lot of similarities to those. It's just that Kelsier is kind of he is the dark one, as like, you know what I mean? He's not the dark one though. You know what I mean? I don't know what to say. It's like he has the vibes of Ishii, but he's not Ishii. You know what I mean? Because he wants to tear the shit down. He wants to break the wheel, but it's actually a good thing that he wants to break the wheel, as in Wheel of Time makes it seem like it may be a bad thing that the wheel is supposed to be breaking. So I can see there is a lot of similarities there, and I appreciate both of them a lot. And I think that the setting of this is a lot more ominous as to the setting of the Wheel of Time is, I guess it is also ominous, but I don't want to use that word. It's very, I don't know, maybe ominous is the right word. It's just very dark and mysterious, and it sets up a lot of questions. As to this one, gives you more answers right off the bat, you know? Like, it's throwing a lot of shit at you, but everything it's throwing at you is an answer to how this world is set up. So it's like, yo, now we know that there's something called the Mist. We know the Ska don't like the Mist. We know that there's Mist Wraiths that are out there too. The guards were taking the girl into the house while the Mist was out there, so that has to mean that maybe it only affects the Ska for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, it does a lot to kind of get your brain going, because it's like, okay, why were the dudes out there that were taking her there if the Ska can't go out there? Do they not have anything set up with them? And it gives you the Obligators, the Inquisitors, and there's a lot of terms and things getting thrown at you, but it's really setting up what this entirety of this world is. And again, I didn't even get to find it, but when he uses his magic system, when he uses his ability, let me see, where is it at? I really want to see that sentence, man, because I really liked it. Like, I really liked it. Okay, maybe it's over here. Close the door. Okay, no, it's on the next page, because the scream interrupts what bruh's saying. Boom. Here we go. The scream cut him off. It came from outside, perhaps to the north, through the mist, distorted sounds. The people in the hovel fell silent, listening to the faint, high-pitched yells. Despite the distance and the mist, Kelsier could hear the pain contained in those screams. Kelsier burned tin. It was simple for him now after years of practice. The tin set with the allomantic metals within his stomach, swallowed earlier, waiting for him to draw upon them. He reached inside with his mind and touched the tin, tapping the powers he still barely understood. The tin flared to life within him, burning his stomach like the sensation of a hot drink swallowed too quickly. Allomantic power surged through his body, enhancing his senses. The room around him became crisp, the dull fire pit in the wood of the stool beneath him. The dull fire pit flaring to the near blinding brightness. He could feel the grain in the wood of the stool beneath him. He could still taste the remnants of the loaf of bread he'd snacked on earlier. Most importantly, he could hear the screams with supernatural ears. Two separate people were yelling. One was an older woman, with the other a younger woman, perhaps a child. The younger screams were getting farther and farther away. Like, damn! Holy shit! Like, that's 3 paragraphs of explaining how the magic system is working for Kelsier right now. What he's doing, the other tin that he also has at his disposal, or the other metals, I guess, that he's eaten. Like he's eating these metals. The metals sit in his stomach for him to be able to use them. Like, brother, that is a lot of setup right there in just a quick, fast thing. And I love that. And I don't feel like we really get any, I feel like this prologue gives us a lot of setup of everything that's probably going to go on in this book. And I don't think that the prologue for Wheel of Time necessarily gives us setup in the same way as it gives us, like, maybe it does give us setup, but it's like, I don't know, it's just so secretive. It's like it's so secretive. That's really the difference. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of secrets hidden in this prologue. There might be, but it doesn't feel like that. But in the Wheel of Time, the book 1 prologue, it feels like there are hella secrets hidden within that first thing. Like, we have no idea what is going on in that book. We are supposed to be confused in that prologue. But here, we're not supposed to be confused. We're supposed to kind of get it a little bit more, right? Like, things are very much spelled out about the world, from the highborns to the lowborns to the midborns. Like, we're seeing all of these different factions, classes, be kind of defined within this prologue from these 3 different perspectives. It's giving us the perspective of the high, mid, low. It just does a really good job of wrapping it all up. So I like both, but I like this one just a little bit more. But I don't know if that means I like it better. Spectacular writing right off the bat. Could not agree more. Anti-hero. Yeah, for real. He is an anti-hero. He's definitely an anti-hero. A little Punnerish. Yeah, a little Punisher-esque. I agree with that. To be honest, the fandom still hasn't decided what Kelsier is here. He is a terrorist. Like, that, like, there is no other, like, that's what he is. Like, yeah, he did a good thing, but, Also, he didn't. Like, bro, he straight up killed everyone in the house. Like, whether they deserved it or not, that's hearsay. You know what I mean? That's hearsay. You know what I mean? That's not what we're talking about. Just a little. Cherise says, Sensei, be prepared. This magic system is a hard magic system. So, it has a lot of rules. It's basically a science. Ooh, I love that. That's amazing. Hopefully that'll help me out with what I'm trying to do, because I want my magic system to damn near be science too. Until it's not. You are a content creator. You might have a shot. Your gift shares some DNA with his cosmere ideas. I will not elaborate as to avoid spoilers. Yeah, delicious. Check around page 80. What? Check around page 80. What the hell is page 80? I don't know what that means. Unfortunately, there's no table of contents. Yeah, I noticed that. That's kind of weak. We have a freaking table of part. Like, we have a part page. We got the prologue, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. And then the epilogue. And then Ars Arcanum. Ars Arcanum. Arcanum. Of course it's not Arcanum. Arcanum. It could be that, but it's probably Arcanum. Oh, page 84 is the cutoff for chapter 4. Oh, damn. Yeah, 83. In my book, it's 83. Probably because mine is a little tiny boo. It's a little tiny boo. Where does part 1 end? Oh, a couple pages later. Not a couple pages, but... How many chapters are there in part 1? Like, are we doing half and half? Okay, so... Yeah. Okay, half and half for part 1. 8 chapters in part 1, so we do 4 chapters this week, or next week, 4 chapters again, and then we go into part 2. Don't look at that stuff as spoilery. Yeah, that looks crazy. I think you're talking about the glossary at the end. I really wanted to analyze that. You need that table? Yo, I have a table like that. But it's not as clear cut. That one was way more. It looked a lot more clear cut, but mine is, not. Mine is an entire thing. But it's very similar. Well, it's not similar by any means, like, at all, but it's kind of similar. I hate to jump ship before the end, but I have to get up early. Good night, folks. Hey, man. I'm sorry I missed you, brother. You sleep well and wake, Thatcher. I hope you have a good rest of your night. Catch up on the last bits tomorrow at work. Appreciate you, G. We all know thatching is early work. Are you trying to get taxed 2 times in one stream, Marisu? Is that what we doing? Mini storks and all that? I'll do it to both of y'all. Everything RJ did that Brando liked, he cranked it up to 11. Yeah, I like that a lot. Stormlight Archive is considered to have more mature themes compared to this. We won't be ready. Okay, so the Way of Kings is called the Stormlight Archive. Mistborn is called something as well, right? Like, I need a crash course. Ah, damn. I need a crash course. These books should have a disclaimer. I hate... Wait. These books should have a disclaimer. I ate a bunch of lead when I was little, and all I got was brain. No freaking way, Marisu. You're tweaking off that one. Yo, I laughed though, so I don't think I can tax you on that one. I don't think I can tax you on that one, yo. Oh, shit. Damn, that one blindsided me. I'm not gonna lie, that one blindsided me because I had no idea what was going on. I thought you meant it should have a, like, yeah, my brain went so many other places when you said disclaimer, and I was like, what? And then when I kept reading, I was just like, oh, damn, ain't no way. Yo. Yo. That's crazy. Whew. Okay. Oh. That was funny. That was funny. It's a generational thing. RJ's writing was influenced by his time in Vietnam, where people had no idea what they were doing and why. Okay, most major fantasy epics were influenced by wars. All right. Good to know, good to know. Time to go study 30 wars. I will, too. What war did I just... Yeah, I was just checking out some war stuff, so yeah. Time to jump into the war vibes. Thank you for letting me know. God damn. Major wars and why they started. Time to go watch some video essays. Page 84 is the cutoff for chapter 4, at least in my edition. Yeah, on my edition it's 83 because I got the little tiny book. See, this is page 83, and then like the chapter like starts on the page. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of this is one of my biggest the antithesis of my existence is seeing things like that, like having a book start on. I mean, having a chapter start on a page with other words, like I don't know, that drives me. Yeah, that drives me insane. 38 chapters in all, plus an epilogue. Let's go. There's the laugh. Yo, not you wanted to get that laugh. That's crazy. That's crazy. You're really in for a ride here in this book? Is that what you're saying, Sharice? Like, I'm in for a ride with this book? I'm excited. I'm excited because I have hella comics to hold me over when I want to read more of this, you know? Like, I'm so excited to read my Superman comic. Like, I'm definitely reading that today. Like, today. I don't know if I'm able to read comics on stream live. Like, that would be cool, but I don't know if anybody would want. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I need to make some I need to make recorded content with the comic stuff. Even with this book club stuff, I want to, like, make recorded content. Maybe I could talk about the prologue now that I just read it. I just don't know what I would put up while I'm talking. I guess I could just show me. Yeah, I could do that. I'll probably talk about this prologue. I'll probably just talk about this prologue in a video today. I need to do a video on Kaiju number 8 because that shit was fire. Like, Kaiju number 8 was amazing, so I definitely want to do a review video for that. And then maybe I could do a review for the prologue, and then I could do a review every week about this book. We'll see. We'll see. I wonder what images would pop up if I looked up Mistborn Prologue. Mistborn Book 1 Prologue. Mistborn Book 1 Prologue. Images. Nothing really. Okay. Ah. I don't like it either. Yeah, why the hell do they have the chapters on the page, Marisu? Why would they do that to us? They know that that's like a OCD thing. You know what I mean? Like, for the next chapter to be like, even when I'm writing, like if I end the chapter, I'm pressing that enter button till I get to the next page to start the new chapter. Like, bruh, how dare they? How bloody dare they? In this book, in this series, and the Cosmere at large. Yo, the Cosmere is such a badass name. Yo, the Cosmere is such a badass name. That's something I'm so excited to jump into this too. And I'm excited to see how he writes stuff, because my issue that I've been coming up upon lately is I don't want, like, lately, all the stuff has, like, the names of things have been, like, bothering me a little bit, because, like, it's not simple, you know? Like, my names aren't simple names, the same way, like, Kelsier isn't a simple name, you know what I mean? Like, that's, you don't see people named Kelsier, you know what I mean? Like, and that's how my book is, too, like, but I know people don't like shit like that, also. But, like, I don't want a Dylan to exist in my world, you know? Like, I don't want that. Like, that's hella simple, bro. Like, I don't want shit like that, you know? I don't know, bro. I don't know. I'm trying to find the balance of fantasy, sci-fi, and then, you know, just simple real-world shit. And it's hard to find that balance. Because it's like, I want the story to have I love the story name, but also I want it to be something simple as well. Like, Mistborn is simple. Like, people be like, oh, yeah, Mistborn, you know? And even the Cosmere, Wheel of Time, you know, A Song of Ice and Fire is kind of a long name, but even that's dope, you know. So I think Gifts, the Lands of Ghaffora might be like the entirety of the thing, and then I just might have to name the books and the comics things differently or something. I don't know, or I might have to just scrap the whole Gifts. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. There's a lot going on in my brain hole, so. For recorded content, I divide the book into larger chunks, maybe fourths after we've done the week bits. But gonna be honest, I'm a little nervous starting such a large series after starting another huge series, but we'll manage. Yes, and I think you guys keep forgetting. I just keep on thinking y'all forgetting. I am not reading the next book until the next season comes out for the Wheel of Time. Like, that series is called From Watcher to Reader, and it will stay that way. I will stay a watcher, becoming a reader. Like, that's going to happen with each book. So if the series, like, the only way I'm gonna continue reading the book outside of the show is if the show gets canceled. That's it. That's the only way. That's why we're even starting this series right now to begin with, is because I'm not touching them books. I'm not touching Wheel of Time until we are ahead of. I'm not touching the books until we're ahead in the show. Like, that's just gonna be the thing that happens. And then we're gonna have the from Watcher to Reader Game of Thrones edition as well. You know what I mean? I think Stormlight Archive is the Cosmere series, so it's better to read other stories first. Okay. I feel that. I feel what you're saying there. And I already have all 3 of these books as well, so it'll make it easy. I am firmly on the opinion we can read the 3rd book of Wheel of Time. I really wanted to read it before you got spoiled on Ishii. Yeah, bro, that was crazy. Yeah, I feel that. That was crazy. I'm still shook about that. I'm not gonna lie. I have not recovered. I have not recovered from that realization. That shit hit me like a bag of bricks. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that shit was like, wow. I was like, oh shit. Like I definitely thought it was different. I didn't know that they were doing the same thing that they did in the show. Like, I didn't know that the show was doing what they did in the books. You know? I agree you can likely read the 3rd book because season 3 seems like it'll be book 4. See, that's the thing. It seems like and likely. Like, those are, it's not a sure answer. It's not like, nah, yeah, you good. It's like, you might be good. Nah, you're good. Because I already got hit with the Ishii thing, and that hurt. And I don't want nothing from the book to spoil the show. I'm not tripping about the show really spoiling the book because it's impossible. The show has not spoiled the book once. The show has not spoiled the book once. I mean, like, the show has not spoiled the book once. But the book spoils the show for sure. It's only certain characters' POVs that aren't caught up, and it's my opinion those characters are lame. Marisu, you're a menace. That's hella funny. You're a menace, Marisu. Yo, you are a menace. Yo, you're EVIL. Well, I think that's it, yo. I think that's it. We read, we talked. We have a plan for what we're going to be doing this week. So we're going to be reading chapters 1 through 4. 1 to 4. Chapter 1 to chapter 4. So next week, we will be talking about chapters 1 through 4 for our Reading Wednesday. It's Reading Wednesday. Yo, what would y'all do if next week I come through with a whole Reading Wednesday song? And I'm just blowing on that shit. Take a look. Okay. Alright, gents and ladies and I don't know why I've been so like yawny and tired lately. It's been wild, yo. Yeah, we got our reading assignment. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Thank you, Miss Murray Sue, for the reading assignment. Say thank you, class. You know what I mean? So yeah, yo, I'm excited to get it pip pop plopping, and schlopping. Y'all already know what's hopping. You know, it's gonna be a good time. I hear my son out there going crazy. They just got back from the store, and I hear my 2-year-old out there tweaking. Them terrible twos is terrible in it. But yeah, man, with all that being said, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in and vibing with me on today's episode of Reading Wednesday when we covered the prologue of Mistborn Book 1. I'm excited to jump into the rest of it for the rest of the week. And yeah, yo, we'll see what's pit papping and what's happening. You know what I mean? And we'll see what's going on next, man. And I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Hopefully we can get on I want to get on, I don't know, it's so hard because my channel focuses on like other nerdy things. So I think it's just really hard trying to catch that side of YouTube when I'm already catching the other side of YouTube a little bit.